def home3, right? First decorate that with whatever you want. App dot route players dot id. You're gonna set the player with their corresponding id. That means you're gonna enter this. Okay, or I'll keep it as a simple function. Players id. That's my route. Here same thing. Methods is equal to get method. So now I'm going to do some conditions. Check it out. Okay, if id in request dot args. So what I'm basically telling is that if somebody hits the URL with id, okay, when somebody hits with id in the keys of a URL, right, people? So what I did was I'm trying to see if the user enters in the URL with this key ID. That's what I'm checking, whether this specific letter ID in the smaller case is available in the request. If it is available, then what I'm going to do is that ID is equal to, okay, int of, I'm converting something integer. What integer? Request dot. Yes. So let us focus back to the same thing that we have started here. So let me add a line number just to give you the clarity. So at line number 11, we have decorated the function with the normal root, empty root. And at line number 15, that particular function home2 is decorated with the route of players. And now home3 is now going to get decorated with the IP called players ID. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm not only going to get the method directly. Instead, I'm going to pass some query string. Query string means whatever the expectation that you have as a part of the get method, you're going to post it in the URL so that it will come back here and it will fetch the data. So I'm going to get ID. That means if a person hits an API like players ID / ID, it will come here. Okay. After it reaches this specific path, I'm doing this. I'm converting the integer. What integer? Request dot argument. Whatever that I get argument, that will be the form of dictionary. So I'm just getting like ID. That means from the URL, I'm getting this dictionary key and I'm just converting into the integer. I'm data. So ID is a key kind of stuff. And whatever that is passed as part of ID is what we call it as the value. So value that I'm getting in the form of argument of ID, which is an argument of that particular ID key. So it will return a number and I'm keeping that number in the integer form. Okay, that's it. So now what I'm going to do is that else return error, else return error, no such field. For example, if somebody hits ID in the form of capital letter, it will throw error. Okay, now I'm going to create an empty list. Say results is equal to some empty list. Then I'm going to travel the book with a for loop. So look at that. For data in cricket. Okay, so cricket is the list which contains a group of dictionary. So I'm going to loop that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that if data of the ID, I'm just checking up ID of this data, and if the ID of the data is equal to the ID that I retrieved on line number 21. So basically this is to check this ID and I'm comparing with that of this ID, line number 21 ID. If it is same, then it is a match this element, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add that as a part of my list, result dot append of that particular data. Okay, after that what I'm going to do, as usual, return JSONify that particular results. Okay, simple. What I'm doing, I'm gonna check whether the API is having a letter called ID. If it is ID, get the value of the ID, because URL will be produced in the form of dictionary. So I'm getting value of the ID. After getting the value, I'm checking that ID whether it is equal to the ID of my cricket dictionary that I have at line number 8. If it is match, I'm appending that particular data into my result, and finally I'm producing the result back. Okay, so you know that how to run, right? Let me run that again. Look at that. Go and type cmd, enter python space this ID. So it will run a specific command. So what I can do, look at that. Copy this, go to the browser, enter this, and you had two dictionary. What was one? You had two routing. What is the first routing? Just a players. Okay. So if you put players, entire data is coming. Now I'm going to put another, kind of row that is called players ID. Look at this. Players ID, question mark, ID is equal to 1. Okay. Now what actually happening is that a request method is not defined. That is what it is throwing an error, because we need to have a method called request that needs to be part of our functionality. So what you can do, go there and take this request. Let me save, let me refresh. Okay, so I think I have made some mistake. Give me a second. Okay, here at line number 21 I made a request kind of stuff. Okay, basically it's not because of the input, it is because of term that I have produced here at line number 21. It's supposed to be a request, but unfortunately I made that as a plural form, so it is throwing error. So now look at that. Since I have passed this ID is equal to 1, this is what we call it as query parameter. So inside URL, you need to pass certain key, and what the code that you written will do is that, it will fetch the value of the key. It will check whether that particular value is available in any of my key that is I given in the part of cricket. If both matches, it produces that particular list. So this is one way of executing your Django, Flask application. Okay. So whatever we seen is a different git methods. You can see different git method. Okay.